Yo, Thought Warriors. What is up? Our learning is on. It is Ivan Lathan Jr.
And it's me, Rachel and Lindsay.
Merry Christmas, Ray!
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. This will come out Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve?
Man, Christmas snuck. I can't believe I was supposed to leave town today. I had to push it back. I feel like this holiday season just bam popped up. Wasn't ready for it. Not ready.
Yeah. Because we were busy all the way up into it. And so that's what happens when you're busy all the way up into it. Like then it just pops up. You know what I'm saying?
But I am excited to go home, celebrate the holidays.
When do you leave?
Tomorrow.
You leave tomorrow? It's good.
Mm-hmm.
Big thank you to Jaleel White for joining us. People really enjoyed the interview. Jaleel was very transparent. We got a lot more interviews coming up. Elliot Wilson is going to be joining the podcast real soon to talk about hip-hop, the hippity-hoppity. Hippity-hoppity. We'll talk about the hip-hop hippity-hoppity with Elliot Wilson. We also ask Elliot a lot of other questions, man. Different stuff I want to talk to Elliot about.
Yeah, it'll be a good interview.
Yeah, we have the Fat Joe story in here a little bit later. We'll get right to that as well. But look, we're going to get right into the podcast. Not very many pleasantries are going to be had. We'll get right into it. Donnie.
Yo.
It's political time, brother. First of all, Donnie, let me ask you something. What are you looking forward to for the holidays, Donnie?
For it to be over, if I'm being honest.
What? Isn't this your first holiday with the baby?
Yeah. I know. I was telling Ashleigh that complicates things because I'm looking forward to him experiencing his first Christmas. But Christmas time normally, my mom passed away around this time of year 4 years ago. So Christmas has been like a really weird time for me because Janae is really big on the holiday spirit. So I try to like keep my spirits up for her. But this time around, this being Junie's first Christmas makes it complicated in another way because I'm like glad that he's here with me, but like my mom's not here to experience it with him. So it's like I'm feeling good that I got him, but I'm also feeling that hole that she's not here. So it's a rough time. So I'm just trying to get through it.
Yeah, I understand you, brother. It first of all, before I talk about my experience, I would like to receive yours and tell you that I love you and I'm here for you. So that's first.
That love is mutual.
But you can just say I love you too.
I love you too, man.
See what I'm saying? That's a little toxic shit that be inside of us. That's a little toxic shit.
Normally I say I love you back. That's how I respond to my friends. But I should just say,
Donnie,
I love you too.
Donnie,
love you too, man.
Donnie, that's a little fuckboy energy. When you can't say I love you too, I can tell that Donnie had a time. Look, hey, love you back, girl. And there's some girl walking home with her books like, girl, I just told Donald I love him. And he didn't even say, he said, I love you back. What does that mean? Yeah. Oh, Cynthia.
If she's calling me Donald, then it's a reason that I'm saying I love you back for real.
That was sting.
But so, my parents got divorced. Me, like my family, we weren't in the same room really ever after that, right? The four of us, me, Ebony, dad and mom. And which is probably a good thing because like to fit all of his kids, you probably would have needed like a bigger room. But the whole family wasn't all in the same room. But you always thought that you would be. Mm-hmm. That eventually I would have a family or eventually I would be the patriarch of the family where the grandparents would be there and everybody would be there together. And you were kind of like looking forward to that Christmas where everybody would be together again.
Yep.
And you're just kind of getting things right and getting things together. And then one day that's gone. It's like, it's never going to happen. Like things are the way they are and they stay that way forever. It's just a weird feeling. Mm. Like, you know what I mean? It's like if somebody just calls the basketball game off in what you feel like is the second quarter. And you're like, no. We was about to go on a 10-0 run. And they go, that's no more game. That's it.
Yeah.
Game's over. When really it was the fourth quarter, but you just didn't know. Odd. Just an odd feeling. Odd feeling. Love you, Donnie. Love you.
Love you,
If
I
Donnie.
love you too. I love
If
you
I was
too.
here, I'll pop you right with my goddamn Nerf gun that I have. All right. Speaking of things that are fun to talk about, Donnie, get us into some politics.
Yeah, it's Matt Gaetz time. Let's talk about sex and drugs. The House Ethics Committee just released a report that found evidence that former Representative Matt Gaetz paid thousands of dollars for sex and drugs, including allegedly paying a 17-year-old girl for sex in 2017. We kind of had seen this coming, but now it's officially out. The report is out to be read by all. Gaetz had filed an unsuccessful last-ditch lawsuit to halt the release of the report, but it didn't go through. So what do you guys think about the release?
Wait,
So,
do we know why they changed their minds? Is it because before they emphatically were like, we're not doing it. And that was obviously when he was in the running to possibly be the attorney general. He removed himself from that. Here comes the report. Is that why they did it? Because he's no longer in the running? Do we get an actual explanation on that?
about why the ethics committee decided to release the report?
Why they changed their mind? Why they changed their minds?
I think there was some pressure. I think the extra
Once he was
added,
out of the running.
yeah, I think, and plus the extra added microscope of his name being floated for AG, renewed interest in the ethics report and the findings.
Well, no, because when he was of interest, that's when it came up and they said, no, we're not doing it. They said that.
I know, but I don't think people really bought it. I think there was probably, so to your point, I think that I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm saying that I don't really have a good reason, and I haven't really heard one. I'm sure one of the thought warriors out there maybe a little bit more buttoned up on it. But from what I know is that the interest in Matt Gaetz got to a point to where he was almost the AG, and people then really wanted to know what was an ethics report.
Sure.
He had left Congress in order to presumably take that post. And Speaker Johnson was like, there's no need to release an ethics report on someone who's not in Congress anymore. That doesn't need to happen. But I think people really wanted to see it after it was tossed about to be brought up.
We should say that this is breaking news. This literally came out right before we
jumped
on to do this podcast. Yeah.
I think a lot of the reason why this whole thing with him went away, because it was hanging over his head for a long time, was because in 2023, the DOJ decided not to bring charges. So the whole thing was sex trafficking and whether or not the things that he was doing, whether or not they were federal offenses. The DOJ decided not to bring charges around that. So a lot of people thought, well, the Justice Department, Biden Justice Department is not looking into this. There must not be any there. However, when you read the ethics report, there's a lot of there. He allegedly had sex with this 17-year-old girl. They talked to her. She said that Matt Gaetz didn't know how old she was, never asked how old she was. So there was no, he was not explicitly looking for an underage girl. However, he broke statutory rape laws in Florida by having sex with her. They also talked to other witnesses that said that they were plied with drugs. They weren't drugged, but there were some coherence issues with all of these sexcapades that he was having. And not only that, but he was using benefits improperly. He was taking private flights back from the Bahamas. All of this is part of his sexcapades, and a lot of that stuff in and of itself is against ethics rules in Congress. And some of it's fairly legal. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't find, there's nothing in the report that says that he was involved in sex trafficking, which is probably why the DOJ did not pursue, go further on that. But he was doing this for 2017 to 2020. Now, Donnie, when he read it, said that he tried to get the release of this report, halted, was not successful on that, but has come out and said, he went through a time where, he didn't make the best decisions. He says, he was having sex, paying for sex. There's so many receipts of him paying for sex. Drugs was used during these wild parties that he would have. But he says he didn't do it when he was married. The interesting thing, he was This was from 2017 to 2020. He was married in 2021. So you were obviously doing it while you had a significant other, while you were engaged.
Well,
more likely than not.
No, if you read the report, one of them says his then girlfriend was sometimes an intermediary between him and some of these women. So everybody was getting down. His homeboy
everybody was getting down.
Everybody who cooperated, everyone was getting down. They were getting down.
Well, the guy who was his, the tag team partner in it is in jail. Right now.
He cooperated with the investigation.
Mm-hmm.
Something else that this said that I hope that it should alleviate for people is it said that while he did have people cross state lines for the purposes of sex, that they weren't underage and it wasn't by coercion, force, or fraud, which I think a lot of people are confused right now that if you fly a person out, that then they will and you guys have sex and that's sex trafficking. No, the person has to be underage. There has to be coercion, force, or fraud. It doesn't look like that was the case in Matt Gaetz' case. Now he is now going to go and be an anchor on OANN News Network. Yeah, he's starting in January. So it remains to be seen how this ethics report, which is disgusting, we should say, with all of the things that were going on, and particularly the irresponsibility and the predatory behavior of having 17-year-old girls involved in his pay-for-sex scandal. We don't know how this is going to affect him. Do you think this will have any effect on his political reputation?
Well, the thing is, he didn't care to ask. Like the goal was sex, drugs, and for him a good time. It wasn't about making sure that things were legally being done, which is obviously the issue here, and how someone underage was participating in these parties. Girl who says she had sex with him twice. Do I think this affects his reputation? No. I think that most people, the moment these investigations started, there was little doubt that it was not true. And I think that he's making the natural progression to go on a conservative network, to continue to be the public figure that he is. I don't think anybody, I think his reputation, it's interesting. I think his reputation is already ruined within his own party, which is why I don't think it'll have that much of an effect. I mean, of all the people that have been, put up for a position in the next administration, he is the only one who removed himself, he isn't the only one. Another guy actually stepped down, but he is the one who had such controversy surrounding him that he removed himself because of it. He doesn't seem to have a good reputation on the Hill. And I think that he'll just continue to go on and try to seek attention in other ways. He's going to do it on OAN, and he's doing it on Cameo. He's got a Cameo now.
Just depends on what Trump does. If Trump, the whole thing depends on Trump. If Trump sticks by Matt Gaetz in some way, then the Republican brass, by and large, will stick by Matt Gaetz. I don't know. I don't think
he needs him.
I don't know. I'm not saying that he will or he won't. I don't know whether or not he will or he won't. What I'm saying is, if he does, then the Republican brass will stick behind Matt Gaetz. If Trump doesn't, then they will then use Matt Gaetz as an example of the fact that they still have some moral clarity or piety or whatever. However, everybody should remember this guy a month ago was nominated by Donald Trump to be the Attorney General of the United States of America. Okay. There's nothing that has come out or been revealed in this ethics report that is new. Okay. The ethics committee is normally pretty buttoned up with the way that they do their stuff. I'm not saying that there were a ton of leaks to the press, but people on the Hill and people in political circles knew what Matt Gaetz had been up to. There had been a lot of discussion, a lot of speculation about this, and he was nominated anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
so Trump sticks by him, they stick by him. He had sex with a 17-year-old girl and paid her for sex. Degenerate activity. I'm not getting in here to talk about all of that other stuff and what's morally right and morally wrong, but it's kind of where we are. Donnie, take us to entertainment. Speaking of people, I told you Lil last week that he needed a crew. I've never known anybody that needed a crew more than this fella.
Yeah, this is weird. Spider-Man homecoming actress Laura Harrier posted on TikTok discussing how Shameik Moore was, in her words, a fucking weirdo. Let me just play her audio.
I keep seeing all these videos that I'm being tagged in with another actor, and people speculating what that is. It's really annoying me because I'm literally engaged, and that's important to me. And, you know, I'm in Hollywood, I get it, people do PR stunts, whatever, people like to get attention. But when he first posted that video, a friend sent it to me and was like, did you know that he put this up? And I was like, no, because that was taken a year ago at a party when somebody asked us to take photos together, and I guess somebody was filming it. And not sure why you would post that now. And so I texted him. We're not close, like I know him just from around. And I texted him, hey, can you take this down? I'm not sure why you would post that. Also, I'm literally getting married, and I don't like this insinuation that there's something going on between us, if that was your intention. And it's still up, which is fucking weird. You're a fucking weirdo. I'm sorry, you're a fucking weirdo. And I'm fucking annoyed.
So Shameik responded after he was trending for a while. And in his response, he tries to give an explanation to what happened.
This is all a misunderstanding. Unfortunately, it's public. You know, it's really the fan fiction, man. It's the commentary. It's that's what's fucking weird, you know. But I mean no harm. I have no ill intent. You know, it's about art for me. You know, the video had the aesthetic of the song. You know, that's it. Wasn't insinuating no relationship. You know, I apologize for the misunderstanding. I do.
You want the backstory here, Rach?
There's more?
So this is kind of like a snowball effect. This is big in nerd circles. Okay. So the backstory here is that Shameik had been, I guess what people say, outwardly crushing on Haley for a long time. They were in Spider-Verse movies together, right?
Yes. Okay.
Right. And so people saw it, right there. He's like trying to get at her, trying to shoot a shot. And so after years and years and years of people speculating that he's so into her, she gets engaged. People light him up because she gets engaged. He comes back and he tweets about it. Then after he posts this video with Laura Harrier, like insinuating that there's something between them when she is engaged. So Shameik is just experiencing different levels of crash out. Left, right. Now people are digging up his old tweets and all of that stuff. So it all snowballed because people think he's been pining after Haley for a long time.
Crash out is a strong word. And maybe I feel that way because I don't know the backstory and I haven't been reading about this for a long time or following his social media behavior and his relationship with his co-stars. But I kind of felt like this was an overreaction as somebody who's looking at it from the outside in.
Overreaction on whose part?
The public.
Oh.
And I'll tell you why.
Not on Laura's part.
No.
Oh, okay.
Like, I obviously listened to all of this and I understood his explanation. I don't necessarily believe all of it. I think that when you post a video with a beautiful woman who's your co-star, coupled with all the history that you're giving me now that I know that part too, you're obviously doing it for attention. Yes, you're talking about promoting new music, but he claims that the aesthetic of the video matched with the song. You easily could have done something else. You know that you being linked to someone who's like Laura is going to get people talking even more. And the thing is if you're trying to promote your music, people aren't talking about your music. They're talking about something else. When I watched the video, I wasn't even paying attention to the music. I was just looking at the aesthetic of the video and watching him with her and wondering like why he would do this. So I understand Laura's reaction because I'm sure that she's minding her own business, doing her thing, planning a wedding. And all of a sudden now she's got to explain herself to the public, to people she doesn't know, and also most likely to her fiancé and her family at the same time as to why somebody would do this. So she's in defensive mode. She's probably embarrassed. She's trying to protect her relationship. So I understand all of that. The only thing I'm like, she called him a fucking weirdo. It was a little harsh. I kind of felt sorry for him when she said it. I did. I was like, damn, a fucking weirdo.
They've gotten to
I get it.
There you go. Rachel's taking up for a black man. People,
I get it. Like
the bullying works, guys.
But I would have, if I asked somebody to take it down, if I gave you a chance to not publicly address it and just said, hey, can you take it down? And you still don't. Yeah.
Weirdo.
Like now I gotta be explaining all of this stuff to people. And I'm upset. I'm embarrassed. I'm annoyed. I absolutely would have gone on social to address it. Fucking weirdo was harsh though.
I don't think it was. Harsh. So I don't think it was.
That was tough.
So
I wouldn't have used that language, but I would have been highly annoyed and frustrated.
If you tell somebody, look, I don't know what you were trying to do. I don't know what's going on, but this is causing an issue. It's an image of me with a message. Take it down, and they don't take it down, and they leave it up. It's weird. You're being a weirdo. You're being a weirdo.
No, it's not weird. I would have blasted him because you're not weird. It's the weird isn't the word. The word is you're being an opportunist. Like you're using me to big up yourself. That's not weird. It's just, that's not the word I would use, I guess is the thing. But I would have blasted him.
I know, but she did.
Don't fucking use me.
Well, that's what she did. She did. She did. She called him a
all of it.
She did. She called him a fucking weirdo, and he deserved it. Man, look, if you in Shameik's crew, man, like tug Shameik on the cape. Tug Spider-Man's cape. He ain't got no cape, but tug Spider-Man's long john. My brother, no. Come on, man. Like, what's going on?
This was an easy fix.
So Shameik, in the moments after George Floyd, tweeted something that I think him and I had a conversation about it. Tweeted something, and I don't know him. I think we just talked for that one time. If I'm remembering correct, he tweeted something that was just so fucking crazy. What people have to understand about celebrities, and sometimes particularly younger ones, I'm not saying younger where you don't have any responsibility for your words, you're 12, 13, 14, whatever, your brain's still developing. I'm talking about like people that have been around in the business for a little while, they're in their early to mid 20s. A lot of times, I mean, just celebrities, period, they just haven't been socialized in the same way that we have. They haven't been socialized in the same way that we have. And so when we were talking to Jaleel, I think it was interesting to see his parents desperately trying to make sure that he had some kind of grounding as an actual person. Yeah. And, you take the good with the bad as far as like what that does to somebody's self-image or whatever. But when you see someone like Shameik, who is so oblivious to any sort of concept of how something that he does will be perceived. Like just totally oblivious to it. In a way, it's like freeing because you can't even understand what people will think. But in another way, it can have this effect where it actually like hinders somebody's real life. And so, yeah, he was being a fucking weirdo here, man. And I'm not even trying to like hate on. And boy, like having the super pretty girl look dead into the camera and call you a weirdo in front of everybody. God damn, every 10th grader's worst nightmare.
It wasn't even just how she said it. It was like she laughed at him. Mm-hmm. Like, that's why I said, damn, I felt sorry for him. When she said fucking weirdo, she's like casually eating soup and shitting on him at the same time. Like laughing like, dude, I'm getting engaged. And you're like, you're pretending out here. You said it best when you said he needs a crew.
Need a
Maybe
crew.
you
Hey,
should reach
man.
out. Maybe you should reach out again.
Like, I'm not mature enough to be nobody's OG. But I'll tell you this.
Of course, you're wearing a Santa hat and holding a Nerf gun.
Yeah, I'm not mature enough to be somebody's OG. Because he called me up. Hey, what's up? Fuck it. Crash out, little nigga. Go get your girl. Show up to Josh Allen house right now. Like, show up to Josh Allen crib right now. If I'm not mature enough because I want to see the bullshit. So, Shameik, show up to Josh Allen right now and tell him to step out on the lawn and give you a fair one. If he love Haley like that, tell him to shoot one with you. Friendly fade. Friendly fade. Spider-Man versus Bills man. Friendly fade. Shoot a fair one. You know what I'm saying? And then after, you know, Josh Allen breaks every bone in your body, then you know that you've been through something. But just fucking fight him. You know what I'm saying? Release all the pictures you got with all of this. Fuck it, little nigga. It's up. It's up.
Donnie, what's the next topic?
All right. Fat Joe.
Speaking of crashing out.
Yeah. Let's talk about Fat Joe. He was on Matt Hoffa's My Expert Opinion podcast where he spoke ill of the group known as the Foundational Black Americans. And while he was doing that, he also slipped in one of his favorite words. I'm going to play his audio and see what y'all think about what Fat Joe had to say.
These rumors were made by radical black racists. Let's just say that. Okay? It's a group of these guys.
It's not funny to me.
That don't want to hear Jamaican, don't want to hear Guyanese, they don't want to hear a black guy that ain't down with them.
Right.
Right? So their job is to criticize anybody who don't look like them or who ain't black American.
Who are these guys?
You want me to say a name? We're going to give them too much clout.
I mean...
The FBA, Foundational Black Authority, whoever the fuck these broke niggas is. I'm just keeping it a buck. And their shit is to attack everybody on Twitter. You see this nigga who run them? Like, your leader? Yo, man, you got to be fucking kidding me, man. And so they trying to change the narrative. They're not from New York.
Right.
So they telling a whole nother story. This was whoopity doop wop.
Rach?
Matt Hoffa.
I know. Here we go.
Ought to be ashamed of himself.
Damn.
And any person who got a podcast called My Expert Opinion, but you have a fool over here talking to you. I can't stand Fat Joe. I'm sorry. I can't. And I can't stand anybody black who, man or woman, who sits across from Fat Joe and allows him to continue to speak on the black experience. I don't care how you feel about FBA. You can, good, bad, you have criticism, you feel that they're controversial. The one person who should not be giving an opinion on it is Fat Joe. You don't even go here. And the fact that he felt like he could fix his mouth to speak on black racists when you yourself, sir, aren't black, I will admit, there was a time on this podcast where I did think Fat Joe was black. And partly because he's constantly speaking. I did. You don't remember that? I was like, wait, Fat Joe's not black? I thought he was Afro-Latino, which to my shock, he was not. And part of the reason that I thought that is because he continues to voice his opinion about our experience. And the reason he can continue to do that is because people like Matt Hoffa allow him to do it. That conversation should have stopped immediately. Say what you want about FBA, but Fat Joe shouldn't be saying shit about it. And I'm sick of it. And I don't even need to get into him using the N-word because we've addressed that before on this podcast. The thing speaks for itself when it comes to that. But why does Fat Joe feel like he needs to keep talking about black folks when he is so quick to tell us he's not black?
Yeah.
Help me understand, please.
Well, there's no understanding to it. Number one, I don't understand the New York nigga to my face thing. I don't understand it. I don't. It just doesn't just exist in New York, but the people in other places share communities, and everybody's saying nigga, we all niggas. They wrote the N-word for J-Lo, and J-Lo sang that bitch. I tell them niggas mind their business, but they don't hear me though. I don't understand it. I don't get it. Whatever. That's you guys' thing. If you don't want to do it, I'm not about to get all in that. That's not fucking me. It's just not my thing. Ain't no community tight enough.
Did J-Lo sing that or Ashanti?
No, J-Lo sang it. J-Lo sang the N-word in
I didn't know if that was Ashanti.
And I'm real, yeah.
I didn't know if Ashanti, Ashanti was doing vocals in the background. I didn't know if that was Ashanti.
No. J-Lo sang that bitch. And then when J-Lo got called out for it, she was like, fucking Ja Rule wrote the song. So what are you talking about? Yeah, whatever. So J-Lo sang the N-word.
No, J-Lo was like, that wasn't even my voice. It was Ashanti's.
But anyway, here's the thing. Once again, we're going back through this same thing again. This is kind of the same thing that Michael Rubin did on The Breakfast Club, right?
It's worse, but yes.
Well, no. It's in the same vein. It's whatever. I'm just telling y'all, they don't let y'all do this. There is an access that comes with a feeling of cultural ownership. That is the deeper issue here.
Sure.
This conversation is revolving around who owns and who created hip hop and how much diversity there was in the creation of hip hop. Who was involved in all of that. And you have the FBA faction saying that hip hop is a Black cultural invention, Black American cultural invention, which it is, with a lot of other people involved that have given contributions, right? And then you have somebody else saying that, no, everybody was together and contributing to hip hop. And you can't say that Black Americans own hip hop. You can't say that any one group owns hip hop. I know how I feel about that. Black American cultural inventions, I know what they are. I know the importance of maintaining them. I'm not going to relitigate that. What I will say is for somebody to be discomfortable having a conversation about intra-community relations in a community that they're not a part of.
Yeah.
Fat Joe, no matter how many records he's sold, and no matter how much love he gets in any hood that he goes into, Fat Joe is not Black.
Not at all.
So you do not see Black Americans talking about how the dynamics within Jewish American communities. Black Americans talking about dynamics within Puerto Rican American communities. Black Americans talking about dynamics within Asian American communities and making value judgments based upon their observations. And the reason that is like that is because there's no sense of cultural ownership of those cultures. There is something that we've had to do as Black people, which is accept the fact that other people have cultural rules that we don't get, cultural rules that we don't understand because of the intimacy of culture. We leave them alone. They do what they do. No one does that. People listen to conversations between Black people and then go other places in front of Black people and speak on those conversations as if they have authority to speak on them. If you guys don't find something odd and wrong and fucked up about that, I don't know what to tell you. I know it doesn't feel like it, but it energetically subjugates what you got going on in your culture. When anyone else can come in and say, this is what the fuck is going on. This is what the fuck is happening. These are the bad guys. These are the good guys, and throw it out there. You just can't do that. And it don't matter what kind of person you are, good person, bad person, whatever. Like, good fences make good neighbors. And we're all human. We're all human. But we ain't all Black.
Nope.
And that's the way that it goes. We ain't all Black. And we can share and we can like love and live and laugh and dance and do all of that while also respecting the fact that there are things that bind us together culturally, socially, all kinds of different ways, right? That you're just not a part of. So stay the fuck out of it.
Exactly. That's it. That's it. Is that so hard to do?
So stay the fuck out of it.
To do? I don't care how defensive you are or offended that they're trying to you feel that they're trying to gatekeep hip hop. You don't need to speak like that.
No, you can speak on, if you want to speak on hip hop culture, fine.
I said,
but the moment that you start talking about black
right.
this, black that,
right.
black that, nah, dog.
Exactly.
Come on, man.
Exactly.
We're not all the way up. We all the way down.
Y'all, it's like,
that was cool.
As much as I want to, yes, it was. But as much as I want to I'm going to criticize Fat Joe. I will every single time criticize the person who allows it to happen. Not only did you sit and listen.
Nah, I'm mad if you wildin'.
You published it.
I think he took it down now, though.
But because of criticism,
yeah.
Were you not embarrassed? Like, that's the thing. You didn't recognize it. We got to recognize this.
What else I'm not going to do is I'm not going to get in the middle of the way other people look. Look, man. If you want to let people say the N-word around you, I'm not tripping on that no more. Just listen, seriously. I'm not tripping on that no more because it's a battle that is not for me. I know where I'm from. I know how I was raised. I know all of that stuff. If that's the way y'all do it, that's cool. But a broader cultural analysis of factions within Black America and speaking to those things, from a place of authority where you can put people in different columns.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know us like that, man. You couldn't.
I'm no longer fighting the battle. I'm not fighting that battle. But what I will forever do is ask people to please hold people accountable for what they do. Don't allow this kind of stuff to happen because all it does is they'll continue to do it. Please, there are some things that we should gatekeep. And I'm not talking about the N-word. I'm talking about even having the conversation of talking about a culture, a race, an identity that you are not a part of. So you're never going to see it the same way that we do. I'm please asking you to gatekeep on that. And he should have taken it down because you should be embarrassed. Don't just take it down. How about you respond to it? How about you address it? Please. That's all I'm asking. Don't hide from it.
Hey, look. I'm saying this. Fat Joe all the way down, man. You disappointed me, Joe. You disappointed me, Joe. You disappointed me, Joe. Like I said, a lot of this comes from cultural differences and how everybody's together and all of that stuff from different places. And I can't speak to that. Can't speak to how shit goes in your hood. But come on, man. I saw Tariq Nasheed responded to it. Nasheed.
Of course.
The FBA. Well, what? Tariq Nasheed and the FBA.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Contingent. Yeah.
FBA. What did he say?
He said a lot of stuff. Tariq was very, y'all say whatever y'all want about Tariq. And I know there's all kinds of different actual conversations that we can have intracommunally about FBA, whatever. But when you get to fucking with Tariq with them words, you better be ready. Because when you get to fucking with him with them words, you better be ready.
You're calling him Flab Joe?
Let me tell you something. I'm gonna tell you something right now, man.
And all the jealous tethers. I forgot.
The tethers.
I forgot he says tethers.
I don't always see eye to eye with the FBA. I don't. But when somebody, you talk about a group of motherfuckers you don't want getting on your ass, Butter Biscuits, tethers, all of this stuff, they know how to get to a motherfucker. And let me say something else. Y'all can say what y'all want about me. Y'all can. But a group that is specifically dedicated to observing, protecting, and upholding the cultural strength of Black Americans, I can't fucking hate on that, man. We can talk about xenophobia and we can talk about the diaspora and we can talk about all of that stuff and how it relates to the greater question of worldwide Blackness. and where the
Mhm.
solidarity comes in there. We can have all those conversations and say what's wrong-headed and what works and what doesn't. But if you telling me that there's somebody that's saying, you know what, we speaking up for the people that like where I'm from, the generations and generations and generations of Black Americans that have, and we're just, even if we don't always say it the right way or go for it the right way, it's not, I'm just not going to hate on that. That would be like hating on my grandfather, Big Mama, Big Papa, hating on Aunt Emily, hating on Aunt Teresa, hating on these black Southern people who had to build an entire culture from oral history that they were able to get from their ancestors and then from scratch on the soil in their ancestral homeland, which for them, for us, is the United States of America.
Mhm.
Like my ancestral homeland is here.
Yeah.
And I love those people. So if we got to argue at the family reunion about a couple of things, I'm not fucking mad about it. But neighbor Joe from across the way, he ain't invited to the argument.
All right. Would y'all rather talk about this Travis Hunter update or switch it to the legal news that we got on deck?
I do have one thing to say about Travis Hunter.
All
Of
right.
course you do.
Let's do it. Travis deactivated his Instagram account after video of his fiancé twerking on another man resurfaced online. The post to the video was Travis Hunter's girlfriend twerking on a random guy in 2021, 2 years into their relationship at this point. That same poster also posted a video of screenshots of a DM conversation that was between Leanna and another guy that was, you could argue, was flirtatious. What do y'all think about these new revelations?
Yeah.
I think it's gone too far. I think that the new revelations.
Finally.
Okay, so I think the new
what
revelations.
turned you?
Just because it's one thing to observe something and then see that maybe the energy looks off or whatever. Everybody does that. It's human nature. Oh, what was up with them? What's going on with them? Blah, 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 blah. But the internet has a way of taking something like that and then turning it into like an excavation or a complete investigation into one person's life and everything that they've ever done. And that's toxic, wrong, bad, and it's really fucked up. Yeah.
Yeah. It's absolutely gone too far. I mean, the moment that I understand observation and, I think a lot of this also centers around the fact that they're engaged at such a young age that people even more so want to, like pry and talk about it. But at this point, it's like the internet is so determined to break up this couple that it's sad to me because Travis Hunter, I don't know him as a person, but we've obviously watched him as an athlete, and you've seen the hard work. You've seen how his teammates talk about him, how his coach talks about him. Like, he's very deserving of the achievements that he's accomplished, and which is why he got the highest honor in college football, which is the Heisman. And he can't even fully celebrate that because that is surrounded by all the chatter with his fiance, from how she responded to how she was right after and before to now this video. This man can't even celebrate and enjoy his achievements because he's got to deal with all of this. And the thing is, guys, you may be right. You may not. We don't know. This is their relationship. We don't know what goes on behind closed doors. We don't know what information he was privy to before you, the internet, was. He may know about this video. They may have handled this 3 years ago when it came out and dealt with it and figured it out. How many of us have been in a relationship before where things have come up? We deal with those things. We figure it out together and we move on past it, and you might be stronger for it. And the fact that they have to relitigate or litigate every single situation that happens surrounding their relationship is so sad. Yes, some of it happens when you're a public figure, but as you pointed out, and I've felt for a while, this has gone too far. This is too much. I'm a person who has deactivated their social media account for my own mental peace, mental health piece because it became too much to where it was really affecting me in my everyday life. So I feel for Travis. You may or may not like his relationship with Leanna, but he has chosen to be in it. Let him figure it out. If he's got to learn the hard way or maybe not, let them have it. Let them have it. Leave them alone. Please, let's move on to the next. We see what kind of stuff happens, which leads us to Blake Lively and Justin.
Yeah, it's first of all, Baldoni. Yeah, first of all y'all girls and twerked on somebody. We don't even know when this video was taken.
It was taken 3 years ago.
Okay, but we don't. If the video was taken 3 years ago, we don't know what all y'all girls and twerked on someone. They be twerking on people. They go to the party, they twerk on people. I remember a story. We're in college and we pull up to the party. I'm not going to tell who it is, but she didn't think she was going to see us there. She didn't think she was going to see us there. And we roll in. Now, let me tell you how good of friends we are. Because this could have been used in the drive contest. We could have used this in the drive contest. Because you know how we do it in the player proof. If we get a one-up on you, we don't even bring it out right away.
Y'all are so brutal.
We tuck it. We keep shit in the tuck. And then you get a little out of line, you need to be brought back in line. Hit you with it. She didn't know he was going to be there. Homeboy parking the car. Let us out. All right, I'm going to park the car, whatever. All right, him and another friend is in the car. We walk in the party. She throwing that ass like a motherfucking Lamar Jackson. I mean, she up in the niggas. She doing the one, the one where, I mean, she going where the one where the hand is up like this, where she throwing the ass, but they holding hands too.
Yeah.
See, it wouldn't even be the ass throwing. That don't bother me. Y'all dancing, it's cool, whatever. But the holding hands.
It's a level of it's intimate.
The whole
it's too sexual.
It's funny because she doing like this. She holding the hands and she. And I'm like, I walk in. I'm like, damn! Oh my God! And the look.
You said that out loud?
Yeah. Like, because I come around, I'm like, God damn! Oh my God! I'm laughing my head off. Right? The look on her face is. And I'm like, and she come on, I'm like, nah, you good. And I'm laughing. It's funny to me. It's funny. That's funny. She was in another realm. The nigga bucked up for a second, like he was about to, come on, dog, like, relax, man. You don't want to get in the fight because he twerking on. And I'm like, no, but there were members of our crew that were super mad at her, but we never told.
Yeah.
We never told. And we never told. They walked in the party, was together the whole night. Now, we had our little fun and jokes and games about it, but we never told.
Would you have wanted somebody to tell you?
It depends, man.
You would have. You would have.
Wait a second. Wait a second. If it's something substantive, yeah. But
is that, you saw it. You were the first point of contact.
Mm-hmm.
If that was your girl, would you want somebody to tell you?
Probably not.
You know you would.
Probably not. But I'll be honest with you. For me, I'm not the one that's gonna run back and be like, "Hey, man, I saw your girl giving up the back of the thing. Rubbing it, all kinds of stuff, holding hands." Like I'm not the type. Like, part of the reason, I'll be honest with you, is we was keeping it on the tuck for the drive. That's part of the reason. We was keeping it on the tuck for the drive contest. Because if it comes up, we got something that we can keep it on the tuck, right? And then part of the reason is that's just not me. It's just not me. I'm bad with secrets, but I'm not bad with, so I'm bad with secrets, right? I'm not a good,
Oh, good to know.
Well, I'm not going to tell your shit. You ain't the crew.
No, you never have.
But within the crew, but I'm not going. If I know that you're not gonna leave and you're gonna stay and you're gonna
that's true.
And you just gonna be, then what's the point of going through the whole thing? And
that's true.
We already knew what.
That's true. But let me tell you, Tell me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be embarrassed. Tell me if my man has somebody bent over and somebody's throwing it on them and he's holding their hands. Tell me.
Never forgot it. But Travis Hunter has deactivated his Instagram.
And he should.
Should for a little while. Just tell Travis this. I'm a person that believes that you can opt out of celebrity. You decide, hey, I want to be whatever and I don't want to be famous, it's fine. You can opt out of celebrity if you want. You don't have to be a celebrity. You can just be a football player. However, they're going to want you to be a celebrity. So that means that because they're going to want you to be a celebrity, that means that if they're going to want you to be a celebrity, they're going to want you to do celebrity things. And if you are a celebrity, this is part of it.
They both have to opt out of celebrity. And I'm not sure they both want to. That's just, because that video isn't the only thing that's come out. So that's just what I'll say. It's got to be mutual.
I feel bad for the kid. I feel bad for his relationship. I feel bad for everyone. And you know what? Last time we'll discuss it. Doesn't matter what happens. We're out of the Travis Hunter and his fiance business. Last time we'll discuss it. Donnie?
Blake Lively. Let's talk about some legal drama. She filed a legal complaint against her It Ends With Us co-star and the director, Justin Baldoni. It alleges sexual harassment and a campaign to destroy her reputation. The filing included some excerpts from a bunch of pages of text messages and emails that she obtained through the subpoena. I won't go through all of the allegations, but a lot of them involve like unsafe working environments when it comes to shooting sex scenes and inappropriate comments to her throughout the shooting. And afterwards, there seemed to be a campaign to take her down via social media. Documents showed that playbook was thorough. There's some quotes that says, "He wants me to feel like she can be buried." A publicist who was working with the studio had written, "And we can bury anyone," they said. In the following weeks after this was filed, Melissa Nathan, whose clients have included Johnny Depp, Drake, and Travis Scott, she went hard at the press, allegedly pushing to prevent stories about Mr. Baldoni's behavior and reinforce some negative ones about Miss Lively. Jed Wallace, a self-described hired gun, he led the digital strategy that included boosting social media posts that would ultimately help their cause. Oof.
Donnie, oof. Before I say anything, I am curious, because we talked about this. I feel like we didn't get in like crazy detail. We more were like, hey, everybody's talking about this. Let's address it. I am curious, Van, did you know that not that this was going to come out, but that there was something fishy behind the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni of it all, just because you're more connected in this area and have your ear to the streets? Were you hearing that things weren't as it seems?
No. And the reason why I wasn't hearing it is because no.
Okay.
I mean, look, we must talk about the things we care about. We must talk about the things that others care about. It's part of the job, occupational hazard. The reason why I didn't know anything about it is because this was played perfectly by Blake Lively and her team. Perfectly. Chef's kiss. So, the entire run of the movie goes, Blake Lively is put in a position to be the villain. She's put in a position to be the villain because everyone is saying, look how terrible Blake Lively is. Justin Baldoni is put in the position being the person that is actually about the movie and understands the gravity of the movie and understands the weight of the movie and understands the tone of the movie, what the movie's supposed to be. Blake Lively is made to look like an aloof, out of touch Hollywood mean girl. The entire run of the movie, which goes on to make $350 million, runaway hit, none of these claims that she's talking about are made. None of them. Do you know why? Because if a movie is hit with a sexual harassment claim between two of the leads, it affects the box office of the film. The film then becomes an endorsement of whatever bad behavior has happened on the set. You can't ask people to go see a movie where you've been sexually harassed on it. You can't. Product is tainted. Don't want to taint the product. Product's making a lot of money. Product has Blake Lively's face on the poster, and her face on the poster means that this is a huge, huge deal in her career. However, after the run of the movie, after the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, and when it's time to talk about the next movie, when it's time to talk about the rights to the thing, when it's time to do the year-end best of lists, when it's time to decide who was made a star by the movie, who owns the narrative of the movie, you then have your people drop this. And this is more than any one thing, because it's an indictment of not just the behavior that was happening on the set of the film. It's also a very clear call to arms for people who believe that there are powerful men in Hollywood who run smear campaigns against women, and the way that those smear campaigns are run. Now, there is no world in which Justin Baldoni is more powerful in Hollywood than Blake Lively. That's a dream. He's already been fired by WME, which is the place that Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively's husband, is also repped. So he doesn't have more power than her. However, the power matrix as it exists in this town is normally male to female. It's the way that it normally is. Particularly in this movie where he has so much creative into it, you can make an argument that there was a power struggle happening on the movie, and some of the things that maybe he was doing was to assert himself, right?
Sure,
if all of
absolutely.
That like if all of that stuff is true, like whatever, like I said, allegations and lawsuit. But in this back and forth, she showed him who to fuck with, because she took blow after blow to the face. Blow after blow to the face. Body blows, all kinds of stuff. And she waited, and she waited, and she waited, and she hit him with a fucking haymaker. And now, almost everything that was said about Blake Lively during this will be relitigated as part of some gigantic smear campaign between Baldoni and his people. The same people who they're saying now ran a smear campaign against Amber Heard, who has now come out and said, hey, these people that were with Johnny Depp did the same thing. By the way, that does happen. Like, without a doubt, in Hollywood, there is a connective network of people who you make one phone call and they hit you from all levels. They hit you from the legal level, they use the media, they use social media, and then they use network talk show people. Like, literally people that are told to ask certain questions when you pop up on talk shows in order to put you in an awkward situation when you're answering the questions based upon relationships that happen behind the scenes. So that's all I got. But I'll say that she masterfully took back the narrative on everything that happened on this movie.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of reasons why she was able to do that. One, because Justin Baldoni and his team honestly were really stupid about how they went about it. To your point, which was great, she sat back in order for the movie, for this information to not taint the success of the movie, for people to go out and watch it. There was just enough talk about it to make people curious, in addition to being Coho fans and this being a very popular book within them and people really, tapping into this story. Plus all the talk around it made other people who maybe aren't Colleen Hoover fans curious to go see it. The thing I think too is that for her, it was about the success of the movie. For him, it was about the success of himself. For him, it was about his ego. And he was more fixated in that with his smear campaign than he was, in my opinion, with the financial success of this movie. He wanted to look like the better person. He wanted to present himself as this feminist, which turns out he's this fake feminist, this ally for women. He and the man, Mr. Heath, alleged in this, have a podcast.
In fact, you believe everything that's being alleged. You always have to say, if in fact you believe.
Sure. Well, I will say, though, that there are thousands of pages of text messages and documentation back and forth that really leads to this. But sure, it's not even a lawsuit. It's a complaint. But yes, allegations. And just similar to the Drake suit against Spotify, you do this so you're able to get subpoena and get or possibly depose certain individuals and get information to build up a potential lawsuit. That is why she has all this information. I think, though, his ego got in the way, right? Sure, I'm speaking to what is in the four corners of the complaint. He allowed what people thought of him, what could possibly come out to be the leading thing as to how he navigated this entire thing. Whereas she didn't, right? She didn't care as much. I'm sure she cared. She didn't act on what people were saying about her. She gathered information and then it came out. So I agree with you. I think it was a fantastic point in you saying how she did it for the financial success and she won on that. But now she was able, how she navigated it to win. I'm not even going to say she's winning the public battle, but it is able to be relitigated because even people on social media are still not necessarily Team Justin, but are still finding reasons to hate on Blake. And I think one of the most damning things in one of the messages that came out as Miss Lathan, who's the crisis PR person who represented Justin Baldoni in all of this, she even says, and I quote, "Socials are really, really ramping up. In his favor, she must be furious. It's actually sad because it just shows you have people who really want to hate on women." And that is what they were able to capitalize on in changing the narrative when it came to Justin. And even still, after all of this comes out, you still have people who don't like Blake. And I think both of these things can be true, right? There's certain interviews that they were able to use to their advantage in this PR narrative that they were building against Blake Lively, where she does come across as, not friendly to the reporter or, doesn't seem to engage in a certain way or seems to be a little dismissive. Those things really came out and they were able to build on it to create this narrative. But it also was able to play into the fact that people do find reasons to hate on women. There is, to your point, this power struggle in Hollywood and other industries as well with men over women. And they were able to build on that. And that was also why they were able to tear her down. And that is sad. And, part of Blake doing this is to show, and I think this is what she says. She says, as her quote, "I hope that my legal action helps pull back the curtain on these sinister retaliatory tactics to harm people who speak up about misconduct and helps protect others who may be targeted." And I think that specifically speaks to the dynamic of men and women in Hollywood. If she didn't file this complaint, we wouldn't be able to pull back the curtain and people who aren't in the industry. I mean, we're in this industry adjacent. I didn't even know that it could go to these depths. I'm familiar with smear campaigns, but I didn't know it could be like this. Also, I don't want to believe that this is actually true, how people can change the narrative about particular individuals or situations. And I think it's important for people who aren't in this industry to see this. So I'm glad that she filed this complaint. And also, what a disgusting person, if this is true. Justin Baldoni.
So let me ask you a question. You said people want to hate on women, right? The people that were hating on Blake Lively were women.
Yeah.
And the people that Blake Lively was accused of mistreating, the people that we saw Blake Lively mistreating, also by and large were women. So I don't know how many men are invested into the "this is all us" drama. So
I'm not saying that the hate has to come from men just because the hate is on a woman. Mm-hmm. I think that's where people talk about the patriarchy and how it's It's like when you have Black people who talk negatively about their own people. You see a lot of times women are very quick to hate on other women to bring them down. And I think that is a symptom of patriarchy. So I'm not saying you have to be a man to hate on a woman. A lot of times what drives this narrative is women doing this against women, which is why you talk about you got to have this unity and you have to stick together and you have to rise above it and you have to see what's the bigger picture of what's happening. Yeah, I'm not saying this is men doing this. But the point is that it is easy. Women, well, I'll just stop it there. That's it.
No, I get what you're saying. It's just, I mean, you for a man, it's got to be something like, oh my God, it's got to be something pretty sinister.
Women are given the benefit of the doubt in the same way that men are when it comes to accusations.
For a man, the accusations also have to have a different tenor. For a man, it has to be something pretty substantive. It has to be like, he's a creepy, he's a weirdo, sexually. He's something like that, abusive, something like that. It has to be something like that. For women, it can just be like, we don't like her.
Yeah.
She's a bitch.
And Justin Baldoni and the accusations against him and Keith and all these people, they knew exactly what to do to play into this, right? He was presenting himself as an ally, allegedly presenting himself. No, he was presenting himself as an ally to women. He was writing books. He co-hosted a podcast where he was talking about toxic masculinity. All the while, these allegations, if to be true, he was the most toxic of them all to protect his ego, his image, to assert his power, and to be bigger than Blake Lively in this situation, or for fear. One of the allegations is, he hired this PR company because Ryan Reynolds unfollowed him and he was afraid of how that looked. Like all of this was for his ego, allegedly, and his image. So yeah, he was the most toxic of them all, but he knew what to say and do to play into it to get people on his side.
Yeah, so now we'll see. We'll have to see what happens with the movie and all of the white. But if this is over, I'll say I miss this white mess. This was some good white mess. Other people are being drugged into it now. How people relitigate what happened between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. That wasn't good white mess because there was abuse in there. This was like, this is getting to the point to where before when it was just like a spat, it was good. But like once you get down into it, we like our white mess where nobody gets hurt. Mess is best when it's just people that, I don't like that bitch.
I mean, both can be true. You can be dismissive. You could think Blake Lively is maybe a little aloof and dismissive and not relatable.
Nobody's going to change. Nobody's going to change their opinion on Blake Lively. Like the town. Nobody's going to change their opinion on Blake Lively. The town knows. Okay.
You're saying
been around.
Those things.
They're the things that like the town knows. Like Blake Lively's been around for a long time.
Both can be true. I'm saying that can be true, and it can be true that they retaliated against her in order to protect themselves.
All right, staying in the world of misconduct allegations of the sexual nature, Jeffrey Madry, the top uniformed police officer in the NYPD, resigned amid allegations that he demanded sex from a subordinate in exchange for opportunities to earn extra pay. Lieutenant Quathesha Epps, she filed a complaint against the city with the Federal Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, claiming that Madry engaged in quid pro quo sexual harassment by coercing her to perform unwanted sexual favors in exchange for overtime opportunities in the workplace. Epps said that when she finally pushed back on the demands, he retaliated by claiming she was abusing overtime, which prompted a department to launch a review. After this review, she was then suspended without pay despite putting in her retirement notice earlier this week. Epps was the department's top earner, it looks like, in last year or this year, earning more than $400,000, according to local media reports.
What, copping?
Yeah, more than half of that is overtime pay, it looks like.
$400,000 for being the police?
Mm-hmm.
Nigga, what the fuck? Who the fuck you didn't arrested John fucking got? Nigga, who the fuck you Al Capone? You got El Chapo? $400,000 for copping?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what?
And she wasn't the only one. Apparently there is a history and there have been complaints about the overtime payment when it comes to the NYPD. I mean, millions of dollars in overtime payment.
Yo,
millions.
I know that after a while, you make a nice, comfortable six-figure salary for copping. I didn't know copping was up $400,000. We gotta defund them.
When it's corrupt, listen, this is like a story like tell as old as time, right? They protect their own. They ignore allegations. This, of course, was not the first allegation of some type of inappropriate behavior of Madry. There have been lawsuits filed. They've been dismissed. Eric Adams took up for him. He was tied to another sexual harassment lawsuit. Of course, what does Eric Adams come out and say? He's a good man. I've always known him to be a good police officer. Like the list goes on and on and on. And what does he do? He gets promoted. He's chief of the department when there have been multiple complaints from men and women by this man. And finally he resigns and it comes out, and the chief of police comes out and talks about how she's firing internal affairs. And of course, to save maybe not herself, but somebody else in the department, somebody's got to go. It's just like these issues have been there. People have been making complaints. I'm glad this man is out, but like all these people are corrupt. I don't know. I don't even know what to say.
I just watched something on HBO and something was said on there. I want to be able to give the name of the actual show. Hold on real quick.
Okay.
Damn. It's called Nature of the Crime. Okay. Nature of the Crime. So Nature of the Crime is a documentary and is about, it's very, 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 very riveting. Okay. It is about, it takes place around two different cases. These are cases where gentlemen have been involved in some pretty heinous crimes. One was the perpetrator of the crime. The other was a lookout in a crime. And they are on parole. And it is an examination, Nature of the Crime on HBO. Go watch it. It is an examination of the parole system in America. Because you commit a crime, 1986, the crime's not changing. Only the person can change. So if you've made a determination that the nature of the crime is such that this person should never see society again, well, it doesn't make any sense to have parole because that means that the person is bound to that act in perpetuity. Okay. It also gets into all kinds of other things, right? Like how a lot of this is based in capitalism, how the parole boards and different people involved in that situation have an economic incentive to not parole people sometimes because they need to have their jobs. And if you parole the wrong person, maybe you could lose your job and whatever. So one of the guys that is involved in this documentary was a gentleman that was part of a group of guys that was hired by a notorious NYC drug kingpin called Pappy Mason. And Pappy Mason apparently ordered the death of a cop from jail. He ordered the death of this cop from jail. One guy killed this police officer, and the other guy was a lookout or distracted the police officer. Somebody could do it. The guy who distracted the police officer was the lookout, whatever. This guy is one of the guys that's looking for parole. And I remember a guy said something, they were talking to somebody about it because they interview people that are on both sides of the issue, people that think, people should be more lenient about letting these guys out. And then they talk to other people who are like, yeah, you stay in jail forever, whatever. The guy said, this was a police officer, and the life of a police officer is valued more in society because of what police officers represent. So it's out of his mouth on the thing. The value of a police officer's life is more in society. This gentleman was killed in the mid-'80s. Police officers from all over the country came to his funeral. And I get the sentiment of how other officers feel when somebody dies. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that that idea that the life of a police officer should be valued more than the life of somebody else in society is the stupidest fucking thing I have ever heard of before in my life. And it's something that through a system of propaganda, virtue porn, and all different types of other things that's been incepted into our brains. The heinous and outright diabolical crimes that are committed by members of law enforcement every single day. I'm not fucking talking about like the brutality and stuff. I'm talking about serial rapists inside of the department. I'm not talking about bad apples. I'm talking about like a mythology of thought, a methodology, whatever, that leads people to believe that they are all powerful and not subject to societal discipline, retribution, or criticism. And when you look at rates of harassment and look rates of domestic violence and all of these things, oftentimes you see disproportionate representation inside of police departments. Now, people can say that I'm railing on the cops or railing against the cops all I want. I'm telling you that I have been so far deep down into the well of watching all of this stuff that I'm watching. I see cops that are interrogated as pedophiles, cops that kill prostitutes, cops that do like legitimately some of the most sinister cops that their family members have killed people and they try to help their family members out of it. These are people with badges, just regular people, not saints. Now, these are people with badges that have a job to do. And we're going to continue to be outraged the more we put it past them because we think that in every single aspect of their life, there's some kind of honor or duty code that they operate by. The average cop is no more honorable than the average worker at Kinko's or the average person that's working over at the crypto or the average person that lives their life with honor, dignity, and respect in the society every single day. Every single day. And if we start digging through these departments and actually doing like a forensic accounting of people's personalities and how they are, you're going to see people drunk with power. You're going to see people that the only thing that they believe in really is their authority over most of us walking around society. And I believe that sincerely. I do. I believe that sincerely. And it's at the root of every single problem that exists with policing is the idea that they are in some way more valuable
I agree.
to society than the rest of us are.
Well,
that's why he was tweeting.
That won't happen unless people within the force start holding each other accountable.
Damn it, no. I don't
Similar to what you got.
That's never going to happen, Rach.
I know. I know.
Like
they're never going to turn against each other. I know. Should we do Higher Learning Person of the Year?
I got one. It's easy. To me, this was easy.
Who was ours last year? Was it the Alabama Avengers?
Might have been.
Was that last year? Or was that 2 years ago? Man, that seems like forever ago. Okay, who is yours?
Easy work, Cat Williams.
Cat Williams is your Higher Learning Person of the Year?
Cat Williams is my Higher Learning Person of the Year. Put Cat right here. All right? Cat Williams is easily my Higher Learning Person. Let me tell you why. I can't remember a time where someone so presciently has described the entire tone, tenor, and feeling of a year. when I can't think of a time when someone has sat down with somebody else and said, this year is going to be about this, and then this year was actually about that.
Yeah, he did do that.
It's almost as if Cat
Forgot about that
Williams
part.
is the one controlling all of this. That Cat Williams went to bed in fucking November or December of 2023 and was like, I'm tired of this shit. It's time to get some people the fuck up out of here. And then he set the wheels in motion for this. So almost everything that happened, even if you make it one of these politicians, Kamala or Donald Trump, even that, Donald Trump and him winning was just another expose of where we are right now in America. We've just been battered with the brutal truth all year long. So I got to go with Cat, man.
That's a great one. It makes me want to go sit down and listen to that interview again to like match things up, which is why that interview is so highly watched. I don't know. This was like, I was like, should I do Kendrick? No. Should I go a different way and choose Donald Trump? Because I was like, how do I pick higher learning? Do you do it like Time Person of the Year where it's for better or worse? Who's the person that's most influential? And then I was like, do I do the person that we've talked about the most, who's given us the most content and really deep discussions? And then I thought, no, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to cheat from something that happened in 2023, but really came to fruition in 2024. And it was because of what happened, because of what someone did, that really opened up a whole can of it brought, the Me Too movement has been in hip hop, but it really brought it to a point where you couldn't escape it, couldn't escape the lies, couldn't buy your way out of it. Your friends didn't take up for you, really brought things to light. And I'm giving it to Cassie.
Cassie.
Because when Cassie Ventura came out at the end of November and filed that lawsuit, many people hated on her. Many people didn't believe her. Many people blamed her. Many people tried to excuse it. But in 2024, they couldn't do that. It was all out there. And because of her being brave enough to use her voice to talk about the years of abuse that she was subjected to, that was ignored by a ton of people, that was allowed to continue to go on because people looked the other way. When it was a secret that many people either assumed, thought may have been happening, or just flat out knew. And because of that, it allowed other people to be brave enough to file their lawsuits, to speak out against Diddy and the whole bad boy organization, and to maybe other people who were linked to him, who allowed this type of stuff to happen, who were a part of his team or whatever it may be. So I got to give it to Cassie.
Mm-hmm. Cassie, it's good. I mean, it's not 2024, but I get it.
But it all came out in 2024. And it was because of what she did.
So it's just so tough, you know. With
you don't want to give it to Cassie? That's fine, man. You don't want to give it to Cassie?
I don't care whether she gets it or not. Cassie's great. Like, Cassie's super brave. It's for 1 year. I'm just joking. All right, we're out of here. When are we coming back? When is the podcast? Donnie, when's the podcast back?
Unless something crazy happens next week, we're going to be off next week. So we'll be off Thursday. We'll be off into the new year. Well, let me pull up my calendar. Is it the 6th? When is the, it's the 6th. We'll be recording on the 6th. So y'all will hear from us again on January 7th, barring something crazy happening.
We might, we might have something. We might keep the feed going, you know? Just throw some old stuff up on the feed, you know, get you some, you know, you guys tell us if you're new to higher learning. What's the best thing we could put on the feed to, like,
best interview, best moment. Maybe it's something like that. But also, if there's something that's like, you're like, we need a higher learning emergency pod. You know, if we don't think it's worth it, but you guys are like, we got to hear, let us know.
Nah, if something crazy happened, we'll jump on. If Vice President Trump in some way has, he's the vice president. if Vice President Trump has something really crazy going on, or if President Musk makes some kind of declaration.
I was like, what?
President Musk, our second African-American president, President Elon Musk. Look, the second African-American president. Look, you guys, you don't know when you're going to be able to celebrate a first. And we have something. We have our second. We thought that we wouldn't get it, right? Because it was Kamala, and she didn't win. But what we didn't know is that we would actually get an African-American president.
Was Elon Musk born in America?
He was born in Africa.
Then he's not an African-American.
How can you say that?
You have to be born here to be considered African-American with African descent. Am I getting this wrong?
I think all you gotta do is be a citizen. Is he a citizen?
He's a citizen.
It's not a citizen. You have to be
he's
born
an African.
here
He's
to be
an African
African-American. Otherwise, he's just a South African that lives here.
You're doing it to me now. You're doing the same thing I do to you.
It's a new, we that's how we rolling into 2025.
Rolling into 2024. See, he was born in South Africa, okay, where he was tied. He was down. He was roll tied. Okay, a little tidy. 2 Chainz got a verse where he goes, "Black diamonds apartheid." Oh my God, it's so funny. It's funny. Anyway, he was down there with the tide, rolling with the tide, tidy tide. His parents down there with the tide, tying it up. And then he moved here. He made untold wealth, untold gabillions of dollars, richest man in the world. He is an African who is now American. He is an African-American.
Okay. Go ahead and wrap it.
He is an African-American and he is the president. Elon Musk is calling the shots. We didn't vote for him. But now that we officially live in an oligarchy, look, President Trump, you got cucked again. You got cucked, Vice President Trump, Junior President Vance, because he's junior. He's in the presidential Boy Scouts. He's like a president ranger. So, you guys, you got to keep the vice president narrative going. This gets to Trump. Okay? So for the rest of
big mad. He is big mad.
For these 4 years, see, y'all don't want to be like me because I'm not a good role model. But y'all know how I needle? This is what you have to do to Trump. Rachel doesn't deserve it. Just who I am. I apologize. Which means the apology must be accepted. That's the rules. But Trump, this is actually the way to get to him. Vice President Trump. I want to hear all of the thought warriors. Everyone. In interviews, if you go to college, I want to hear Vice President Trump. He's Vice President number 2. He's number 2.
Yeah.
We're out of here. We love animals. I want to say something real quick before we go. You know what? Let me talk to her before I say it. There's a little tragedy in my family. I want to send a lot of love and hugs and thoughts and kisses to my big sister. My big sister, Ebony. But I won't say what happened, but like a lot of love to my big sister. Yeah. I love you, baby. All right. Take your thin caps off, but do not stop learning. I'm Van Lathan Jr.
I'm Rachel and Lindsay. Bye, guys. Happy holidays and Happy New Year.
Marry all that shit.